Hi guys, my name is Maya, and I will instruct you through about 40 minutes of Yin, maybe having this practice in the evening. That's when I like to have a Yin practice, but honestly, if you can get it at any time of your day, that would be great. Make sure that you put your mat up against the wall. You want the base of the mat pressed up against the wall. And our whole practice today will be your legs up the wall. And so that allows the energy from within your feet to drain out of the feet and moving it into other sources within the body. So maybe you'll bring that into the knees if you have sensitive knees, or bringing it into the hips, or maybe your intention is to bring that energy into the heart, which is below the feet. The Yin practice, the poses are a bit longer because you're not really moving through the muscles. You're trying to avoid using the muscles. So the practice, the poses are held for about maybe 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the pose. And that's okay because we're moving through the joints instead of the muscles. So you won't be sweating, or you won't be having a hard time holding it for that long. Your Yin practice, you want to use gravity to move into the poses. So I'll move you into your first edge, and then you'll allow gravity and time to open up the joints and the fascia as well, which is that layer that is underneath the skin. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment underneath, and I would love to answer that for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. So we'll start just leaning up against the wall. You'll bring your sitting bones right up close to the wall. The spine is long and shoulders are drawn back. And we'll start by closing our eyes. You can sit cross-legged with your hands resting on the thighs. The elbows will be right below the shoulders. And this is just a natural, relaxed position for the body. When we sit upright, closing our eyes, and just allowing your day to fade away, and connecting into your breath. In a yoga practice, we try to connect the mind to the body. We make this connection here. And my favorite way to do that is to focus the mind on the body. That'll help you with the connection. So begin to focus your mind on your forehead, allowing your eyebrows to relax, moving your awareness down the jaw, allowing your jaw to release, your lips will part just a little bit. Your tongue will move away from the roof of your mouth as your face softens. So your whole face begins to relax. Moving your awareness into your shoulders. Your shoulders start to release tension. You can bring your awareness through your arms and down into the wrists, to allow the palms to relax. The fingertips surrender. Begin to notice the natural rise and fall of your chest with each breath that you bring into your body. And your breath is energy. Your breath is a source of nutrients that you bring into the body. So when the breath is calm, when the breath is steady, the body reacts the same way. The body will be calm and steady as well. We'll take 3 more breaths right here, moving into today's practice. We'll move into legs up the wall. You can start by blinking open your eyes and bringing one side of your body up against the wall. So the right thigh will come up, Then bringing the left hand down to the mat, the legs go straight up to the wall. And you'll want to make sure that the sitting bones come all the way up against the wall. The legs will go straight here for caterpillar. And relax your feet however they do. And release the tension from your toes. And place your hands wherever is comfortable. Maybe you bring them out to the sides. Maybe you want to stimulate the heart and the lungs. You can rest them above your head. Maybe you want to start to notice the breath. So you place one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Whatever feels comfortable for you. Maybe you're winding your day down. Maybe you're waking up with your yin practice. Now just be okay with being in your own body, being in the space that surrounds you. And we'll be here for a couple minutes. So coming into your first edge. If you have tight hamstrings, a bend in your knees is totally okay. Your heels are still above the hips, and so you're still draining the energy from the feet. And connecting into wherever your breath is at. Just bringing awareness into the breath. Begin to find stillness, find space within your body. Your yin practice is different than your other practices where you're not looking to move into the muscles. You're more moving through the joints and the fascia. The fascia is the layer right below the skin. And so instead of pushing yourself constantly through your edge like you do in an intense vinyasa or hatha practice, in yin you're just asked to completely surrender and let go and find peace within your body, find relaxation. We'll take 5 more breaths right here. The next pose we'll move into is butterfly up the wall. So bringing the soles of your feet together, your knees will open up wide. Depending on the flexibility of your hips and your hamstrings, the heels will either come close to the pelvic floor or maybe a little bit higher up the wall. So again, bringing your hands to wherever is comfortable for you. Maybe you rest them on the thighs, encouraging the hips to draw open. And maybe you rest them up and above your head. Maybe down by your side. And whatever feels good for your body, it's probably right for your body. In butterfly pose, we're stimulating through the inner thighs and the inner legs. There's a lot of energy that runs through the inner legs. And so as we move into your first edge here in your butterfly, you'll start to feel that stimulation or that pulling sensation. And that's the bladder meridian that runs through the inner legs. And so So maybe finding some things to become grateful for here as you start to open up the bladder meridian, as well as opening up through the hips, and as well as the lower back. That nice and pressure of the lower back moving down into the mat with the support of your wall. So you come into your first edge, and you use your breath to move into any tension that you might feel in the body. You know, most of us here in butterfly feel the tension within the hips. You'll use every exhale, send the exhale into that space of tension. Notice the body is calming down, the body is relaxing the more that time goes on in our yin practice. We're about halfway through here in your butterfly, so maybe you notice the hips have drawn open and you can move a little bit further, maybe moving the heels just a bit further down towards the pelvic floor. Once you move into that tension, again, you connect with your breath and find a place of surrender, a place of letting go. And we'll take about 5 more breaths here. We'll extend the right leg back up the wall, and the left leg comes back up the wall and back into your caterpillar. From here, you'll open the heels away from each other and you'll bend the knees. You'll want the knees to be in line with the heels, so you're creating some symmetry within the body, and you want each toe to be in line with one another. So adjusting yourself accordingly. If you're tight in the hips, your feet will probably be a little bit farther up the wall. If you're not so tight in the hips, the heels will be closer down towards the ground, and just making sure that the knees are in line with the heels. So this is almost like our happy baby pose or a stirrup pose up the wall. And the pressure from the heels moving into the wall will start to draw open the hips. Once you find your first point of resistance or your first edge, close your eyes. And again, check in with your breath. And start to move your breath into those points of tension, the points of stress that you feel in the body. Making sure that the arms are comfortable, the shoulders are comfortable, they're out from underneath you. Notice the support system that you have from the wall. The wall is really doing most of the work. Your body is just using that support to draw open the energy lines in the body. So again, we have the meridians running through the inner legs. And just like in our butterfly, you find that stimulation That again is the bladder meridian. And there is a little bit of compression within the belly. So the compression that you're feeling within the belly as the lower spine presses down into the ground. It's a nice stimulation through your internal organs. Well, women especially, that compression through the internal organs is great for the ovaries. It helps regulate your menstrual cycle. It's good compression. So maybe as you're in your stirrup up the wall, becoming grateful for all these sensations that you're feeling through the body. Really, it makes you feel present. It brings you to this moment right here and right now. We're more than halfway through this posture. Maybe checking in, taking it to your next edge if your breath has been moving you through. And we'll take about 5 more breaths here. From here, you'll heel toe your feet towards the center of your body and kind of walk your toes up just a little bit, but you will still have a bend in your knees. From here, keep the left foot up the wall with a nice bend in the left knee, and you'll rest the right ankle on the top of the left thigh. You can flex the right toes. Just notice that opening through the right hip as the right knee starts to draw towards the wall in front of you. Now, if this is not enough sensation within the right hip, you can draw the left heel a little bit farther down the wall. And you'll feel this through the right adductor there within the right hip. You're trying to work your lower spine back down into the mat as you feel this opening through the right hip. It's a very similar sensation to your pigeon pose. Again, adjust the shoulders and adjust the hands. Maybe this time the hands will rest above your head as you stimulate the heart and the lungs. And here we'll bring the chin into the chest just a little bit to compress through your thyroid, the parathyroid, which actually works through the metabolism. So you take this pose into your first edge, your first point of resistance. Again, closing your eyes to move into your relaxation. Just taking that out of the equation. And again, focusing on the sensations that you're bringing into your body. Feeling that opening through the right side body. And we'll take 5 more breaths here. And from here, we'll move into a spinal twist. You'll start by bringing your wrist extended from the shoulders. So it's like your arms are out like a capital letter T. Then you'll start to lean over onto the right side. And the right knee starts to come down towards the mat. And the left heel starts to slide down the wall. And maybe the knee comes all the way down to the mat, maybe not. But eventually, your left hip will stack right above the right hip, and that'll move you into your spinal twist. Adjusting your shoulders so that the left shoulder comes back square with the mat. A lot of times that left shoulder likes to lift up. And making sure that both shoulders are even. And maybe resting over on the left ear if that feels nice, gazing over and past the left fingers. If it feels good, you can bend the left arm and rest your head on the left hand as if it were a pillow. And so in a twist, we start to massage the internal organs. It's a wonderful detox for your body too as you twist out the internal organs. And also you start to balance the spine back out when you twist the spine right. When you twist the spine left, you're actually bringing the spine back into neutral. And check in with your breath. Trying to keep the breath steady, keeping the breath calm in order to keep the body steady and calm as well. And we'll take about 5 more breaths here. If you have the left hand underneath the head, go ahead and release it. Palms will be face down, and you'll start to slide that left leg back up the wall. And bring the right foot to meet the left. And this time we'll bend the right knee, just slightly, and the left ankle comes to the top of the right thigh. Sometimes a little pressure in the heel will assist you to find that pose. And check in with the left hip, the left knee, adjusting, maybe flexing the toes or relaxing the toes. Just noticing that activation through the left hip. Maybe the foot is great where it is. Maybe you need a little less. You can lift the toes higher or a little more. Bring the heel a little bit closer down towards the ground. Again, closing your eyes. Maybe your hands are up above the head, starting to open up the heart. And again, we'll start to compress within the throat. So tucking the chin into the chest. And we'll take about 5 more breaths here. Checking in with your thoughts, and where the mind wanders to. Try to keep the mind focused on the body, focused on these sensations that you're feeling. To our spinal twist from here, arms out like your capital letter T, palms face down, and we'll start to lean into the left hip, and the right heel starts to slide down the wall. Maybe the left knee comes all the way down, maybe not. Maybe you're still using the support of the wall. Adjust the right shoulder this time, so right shoulder comes out from underneath you. Both shoulders should be square. If the right shoulder is lifting up and you're having a hard time moving it back down into the mat, just means you went a little bit too far in your twist. So that means that the heel needs to move up the wall just a bit more. The right hip stacks. And taking whatever position you took on the other side with the hands. So maybe you had them above the head. Maybe you use the right arm, the right hand as a pillow. In our spinal twist, we feel the opening through the full right side body. And everywhere in the body we have meridians or energy sources that run through us, through the amazing vessel of your body. So running through the outsides, along the sides of the body, you have your kidney meridian and the gallbladder meridian. So you're actually stimulating those meridians, you're opening them up. Any blockage, start to breathe into that. Notice any points that maybe it just needs some energy, and that's your breath. Your breath will serve you with that energy. And you can close your eyes. Move yourself into your relaxed state. Check in with your breath. And use your breath as your intention. As we move into a Yin practice, maybe it's your first time doing Yin, or maybe you're a lover of Yin and you've done it numerous times. Whatever kind of student you are, you know now that in the Yin practice you are working into that relaxed state. The brain waves throughout our everyday life are really sped up. And in today's society, the normal human is supposed to be going and going and going all day long. So in your yoga practice, we practice moving the brain waves down into alpha. And alpha is where you are relaxed, you start to release any unneeded thoughts from your head. You're not quite sleeping yet. You're one above sleeping, and that's alpha. So notice as your practice continues how the thoughts are dissipating. We'll take about 5 more breaths here. Your arms will come back out like a capital letter T. And the right heel starts to come back up the wall. Right hip comes back down onto the mat. And the left foot comes to meet the right. So we have one pose before our final savasana. And that is dragonfly, a nice hip opening pose. You'll start to draw open the heels, sliding the heels down the wall. Depending on your hip flexibility, the heels might be closer together. They might be very close to the ground. And if this is too much through the backs of the legs, if you feel it behind the knee or through the hamstrings a bit too much, it's totally okay to have a little bend in the knees. Start by bringing your awareness into your toes. Place the toes however it is comfortable for you. Maybe you start by kind of pointing them up and then allowing gravity to hold them down, or maybe you start by pointing them down. Do what feels good for you. Your yin practice is very personal. Everyone in their poses will look so different. And that's the wonderful thing about yoga, is it is personal. It is your own practice. So let your pose be you, and let yourself move into your pose. Again, you can feel that stimulation through the inner legs. We know now that that is the bladder meridian running through the insides of the legs. You can feel the opening through the hips. Most of us carry our stress either in the shoulders or the hips. Typically, women carry their stress within the hips and men carry stress within the shoulders. That's not to say that you're a man and you don't carry stress in the hips, or you're a woman and you don't carry stress in the shoulders. But in a butterfly pose, you have the opportunity to move into that stress, move into that tension. And so as we identify the breath, what the breath is, which is just energy coming into your body, you can actually move that energy into the points of stress or the points of tension. So check in with the question of, are you breathing? Are you bringing natural energy into your body? And then what are you doing with the breath? Where are you sending it? Are you just letting it stay in the throat or in the chest? Or are you starting to move it down the body, sending the breath or the energy into the different spaces? And that is practice, just like these poses. Go ahead and practice that here. Practice your breath. And sending the exhales into any points of tension that you might feel. As we are a little bit past halfway here in our dragonfly, maybe you notice gravity has taken over and the hips have drawn open, maybe allowing the heels to come a little bit closer towards the ground, but maybe you're good where you're at, and that's totally okay too. and moving into your surrender. And take about 5 more breaths here. Trying to breathe into the pose for these final moments and staying with your patience. Moving into Savasana, corpse pose, our final pose of your yin practice. So you can start by bringing the right foot over to the left, rolling over onto the left side of your body. You'll bring your knees into your chest just for a quick little fetal position for a transition here. And then extending your legs out long. With your feet flat on the wall. Rolling your shoulders out from underneath you. And splay the toes out wide, which means you're trying to bring the pinky toes closer down towards the mat. Maybe the pinky toes even touch the ground. Those shoulders roll open. And palms will be face up here. Checking in with your breath. Checking in with your body. Seeing where you're at. Perhaps just take notice if you are a lot more relaxed here than maybe you were at the beginning of practice. There's no attachment to that. Just noticing where you are. It doesn't have to be a certain way. Just allow it to be how it is. Naturally, the shoulders are relaxing open with the palms face up. And naturally, the hips are drawing open with the toes splayed out wide. And the breath is natural. You're not trying to make the breath a certain way, be a certain way. You're just allowing yourself to be you. And we finished our practice in Savasana. Savasana translates to corpse pose or dead man's pose. And the reason for that translation is to find complete stillness in your body. Not only trying to find stillness within the body, but within the mind as well. So as you lie here on your back, and most of us will have some thoughts that start to come up. That is natural. You'll become the observer of those thoughts. And when you become the observer, you realize that you can no longer be the creator as well. You're either one or the other, the creator or the observer. So as you choose to become the observer, you'll notice it's a lot easier to detach yourself from the thoughts within your mind. And this is a practice. Savasana is a practice to completely release and let go and be okay with just finding peace within the body and with the mind as well. You can stay here as long as you would like. And just breathing your natural breath, trying to clear out anything that no longer serves you. Before you get up and leave your practice, maybe finding a couple things to become grateful for. Maybe it's just that you dedicated yourself to this time within your body, within your yoga practice. Or maybe it's someone specific or something specific. Find maybe 1 or 5 things to be grateful for before you finish your practice. I'll leave you on your mat, but before I do that, bring your hands to your heart center. And we do this to bring the energy into the center of our body, into the heart. You'll feel that energy within the palms. And curl your lips up into a smile. And say namaste.